we've got Trevor Shakiba on. Trevor, let's unmute you and get you into action here. If you want to return your camera on, go ahead and select that. But if you want to keep yourself on mute, that would be great. But Trevor, thanks so much for being on the webinar today.
Yeah, you bet, man. It's always an honor. I did have my video working. I'm not sure that it's working now, but I really need everyone to see me if possible.
So we got a nice picture of you on screen here. So a lot of you know who Trevor is. For those of you that don't know him, he's one of the all-stars when it comes to marketing in B2. Trevor's been really on a great growth mission since, I think we started working together. Maybe we met 2008, started working together 2009. Trevor really grew his GDC by 10 times, going from around 250 when we met. Went on a tear through 2008, crossing over 2.5, and really finished up last October around 2.8 million GDC. So we've seen you, buddy. Great to have you on.
Yeah. Again, hopefully you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah. I can see you and hear you.
Great.
So let's talk about your niche, Trevor. What helped you go on such a tear and have so much growth? What was your niche?
Yeah, it was two companies down in Houston, and it was specific to the blue collar energy workers. And the first one was Shell. So I'm sure everyone's heard about that story in Houston. But where I was able to really get in with Shell is there was a blue collar plant down by me, and the other advisor or advisors that had that contract, they didn't really come down. They didn't want to come down to my area, right? So, and then Fidelity was the 401k provider. They also didn't have an office down by us. And so I used to tell people, like, we will gladly work with you. You don't need to go up into Houston. You got everything you need right here. And so that resonated with a lot of blue collar workers. They didn't want to drive up in the traffic 45 minutes, an hour. And we just picked up kind of the scraps. We weren't working with the executives. We got a few of those eventually, but we were glad to be in that space and really happy. And we were competitive with that other advisor group, and then it grew where I think we got people's attention, and then they started to come down here, and Fidelity put an office down here. But by that point, we had gotten enough scale and let everyone know that we were a dominant force to be reckoned with.
So let's talk about the beginning. You recognized, hey, I've got a couple clients in this niche that turned into a few more clients. There could be something here. So take us back to the beginning. What got your attention on it, and then how did you start focusing on that group?
Yeah, no, I still remember how I first got where I got my first Shell client, and it was from a fishbowl card. I didn't even do a lunch and learn. I just called the card up, and somehow she became a client. I still remember her name. And she's still a client of my former, with my current team that I sold my practice to. And I just knew that Shell was a good company, and they had good benefits. They matched 10% whether you put into your 401k or not. And then they also had a pension. And so I just started focusing on those types of companies. She did a birthday lunch for me, and there were 3 Shell people. One of them became a client. And then one of those people that came referred me to the plant manager down in this area. And then it just kind of exploded. And it took me a while, John, as you know, it takes me a while to understand and realize and grasp something. But I didn't even realize that I had 15 or 20 or however many clients it was with Shell until we did that exercise. And it was like, oh my gosh. Maybe I should focus, get scale, get efficiency, and really target that group.
So it was really a long path. I mean, over a 10-year path to develop this to the point where Trevor sold. So as you went along here, we talked about how providing specific value to this group, being really invaluable to them, makes it easy to get referred to the next one. So for you, what was your expertise here? What made you special and stand out from the other advisors that were around?
Well, I mean, when you start working with that many clients, you learn everything there is to know about Shell inside and out. So I knew that they had this special education account, which could be used, it was $2,000. It could be used for anything related to education. And that's how I pitched the initial financial plan. We had to make it consistent across all Shell clients. Then I knew all there was to know about their 401k and how we could do in-service distributions and Roth after-tax Roth conversions. And I mean, I just knew so much about that, that there was no one, I mean, maybe some other advisors knew as much, but there was no one that knew more. And then it's your job. And that's what I advise our current advisors on. Like, when you have a niche, you need to discover it. Don't spend all day long trying to start a new niche, and then become the expert. And a lot of becoming the expert is just telling everyone that you're the expert. And then when you're in those meetings, you're delivering value. You tell them, like, hey, John, the largest percentage of my client base of 400 clients is Shell. We are experts. And I would love to meet any other Shell clients that are like you, approaching retirement, blah, 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 right? You go into the IPA, the world famous IPA referral script.
So let's talk about how you got to the next client. I mean, how did you shape your marketing then with this group? How did you tailor your activities and events to really go after this specific group of people?
Well, I mean, then it just becomes, okay, who are your most valuable clients? Who do you like working with the most? And then what groups do you have? Well, I loved blue collar energy. And the reasons for that was, number one, they all had a lot of money. You have a company that's matching you. My other company matched 7%, had a pension, lump sum option. Shell, some of them had a lump sum option. But you're going to get 10% whether you put into your 401k or not. I mean, that's pretty stinking amazing, right? Benefits that were unmatched. Plus, I liked working with them. I never did like working with, I'm really close to NASA down here, but I don't like working with engineers, right? That became apparent very quick. I didn't enjoy that at all. I liked working with folks that wanted someone to trust, and checked off all the other boxes, and really enjoyed when I put an event on. They came to all the events, they referred. So those were the types of clients that I wanted to work with. And then it just became, with your help, stealing other stuff from other advisors like Drew. Like, how do I expand this, gain scale, which in turn gains me profitability in everything I do? From our birthday lunches, retirement parties, events, a specific referral script for me and my AFAs. That is what we're going to leverage. We did specific events. I can think of one in particular that was just for this group of clients. And it really grew into this reunion event. We called it Beer, Bugs, and Barbecue. We're down here in Houston, and it's all about crawfish and barbecue. And then we've got this microbrewery thing for the hipsters that are into that down here. And so we just had a lot of fun with it, man. And then it became anyone that ever worked at Shell that was already retired, currently working there, invite everybody else. And it was a reunion, meaning the retired folks hadn't seen the current people that were still working in a year, and it just grew and grew. And I leveraged social media, and I was, basically just trying to get attention for everyone that possibly worked at Shell, did or used to. Like, you got to be working with Trevor.
Really, really great story. Now, so let's put your advice cap on. What advice would you give to other advisors on either developing the niche or accelerating the niche like you did?
Yeah, so you can develop a niche from nothing if you really want to. But what I would advise is look at your existing client base. I can think of an advisor that that we were talking and trying to think through this exact conversation, and they were telling me, that they're a boutique firm and that this is their niche, and we're thinking through that, and they actually we talked about this company that's well known to everybody. They already had 6 or 8 clients with this company that has unbelievable stock options. And if they're at a certain level, they're getting 200 to 250,000 in these stock options every year. And I'm thinking, don't reinvent the wheel here. Focus on what you already have, and then go from there. Because finding a niche, that's kind of back to the spray and pray, or developing a new niche. It can be done, but you need an in. And when you have an in, it's real easy to blast that door wide open, as opposed to like you don't have an in, and it takes a lot of effort to figure out how to get that foot in the door.
Awesome story. Any thoughts there from Drew or Travis on Trevor's story here?
Trevor, the thing that resonated with me, and Trevor, congratulations, you're a great marketer, is that last story. We have an AFA that keeps wanting to find a niche, but they've picked up 6 or 7 clients in the last 2 years from the exact same place. They're all $500,000 or above. Well, you've got a niche. So, a lot of times in sports, how many teams that they can run for 310 yards a game, and all of a sudden they think their quarterback's not any good and doesn't pass for 300 yards a game. Keep doing what gives you wins, and I think it's easier to develop a niche than most people realize.
Yeah, well, and not only that is like you want to do things that are successful, so you get that momentum rolling, and then other opportunities will arise. The other big niche that I eventually uncovered came from that niche, just because they were another blue collar worker that changed companies, and then I explored that, right? So these things start to spider off, and then you can be more selective. But if you're just thinking like, oh, this would be great and I'm going to be an expert, I just don't think that's the most efficient way to begin to, try to get this niche started.
Awesome, Trevor. You look great today, by the way.
Well, I don't know if that is sarcasm, but I'll take it as being very, very genuine, and I'll thank you. I've been doing this new thing. It's called intermittent fasting with a little bit of low carb. The only person that would know about that is probably Brian Grizak, maybe Lester. They can tell you a lot about it, but I won't take my shirt off, but just know that things are going well.
Oh, Trevor. Thank you.
Hey, all the best. D2, man. D2 is the way to go. And check out the IPA method. It is storming the nation. It's unbelievable, the content there. IPA, improve, praise, ask.
There we go. Thanks, Trevor.
We'll see ya.